8-month-old baby to the party. And the party went on through the evening of July the 4th, and about 2 o'clock in the morning on July the 5th, in the middle of the night, they left this party in downtown Lakeland at some people's homes to return to their house in North Lakeland. When they arrived at the house, Jasmine took the 6-year-old and the 8-year-old into the house, said, "I'm going to give them something to eat," and put them to bed. And Jasmine told Joel, "Bring the baby into the house." Joel then was taking some food stuff, some trays of food into the house. Jasmine went in to feed a 6- and an 8-year-old child, and she put them to bed, and subsequently she went to bed. Joel, when he was taking the food trays into the house, noticed the right rear door open. When he finished taking the food trays into the house, he noticed the door was closed. So now he thought that Jasmine must have gotten the child. So he went in. Jasmine was in bed, asleep. He went to bed asleep about 3 o'clock in the morning. Now listen to my timeline here. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Joel wakes up at 10 o'clock and is preparing to get ready to go to work. About an hour later, at 11 o'clock, he looks at the 8-year-old and says, "Where is the baby?" This 18-month-old little girl. Jasmine's still in bed asleep. The 8-year-old looks around and says, "I don't know where she is," where she normally slept, in the bed or in the room with the 8-year-old. So Joel starts to look throughout the house, and he doesn't see the baby. He goes to the car, and there is the baby, still strapped in the child carrier in the car, with a heat index 105 degrees on that day. He grabbed the child carrier and the infant from the car, runs inside screaming for Jasmine. Jasmine, who it's reported has some medical training, looks at the baby and says, "I know the baby is deceased, is dead." Despite that, they grabbed the baby out of the car seat. They rushed to Lakeland Regional Medical Center. And upon arrival there, even though it's painfully evident that this child has suffered a torturous death, a absolute torturous death, Lakeland Regional still worked on the baby to try to save its life. But it, in fact, was deceased. What's interesting about this is that the investigation begins, as you can imagine that it should. And here's what we discovered. Jasmine and Joel are given a quick test 17 hours after arriving home. 17 hours after arriving home from the party. Jasmine tests positive for alcohol and marijuana. Joel tests positive for alcohol, marijuana, and methamphetamine 17 hours later. So you can imagine what kind of shape that they were in when they arrived from this party and left this child harnessed in the baby seat in the back of the car. This child's 18 months old. She's not old enough to let herself out of the harness, but she's certainly old enough to realize that she is suffering a torturous death at the negligence of Joel and Jasmine. The investigation goes on. We determined that Joel has a criminal history.